The last rapture sign has appeared, not in the sky, but within. This is not the end of the world, but the end of illusions. Detach, awaken, align. Heaven is a frequency, not a place. Rise by choice, not chance. The separation has begun. Are you ready or distracted? The final sign has appeared, not in fire, nor in thunder, nor in some grand spectacle in the heavens. It is not marked by breaking news or prophetic headlines. It is more subtle, more sacred, and far more personal. It has arrived like a whisper into a world addicted to noise, a gentle knock upon the door of the soul that only the attentive can hear. We have been looking for signs for generations, eyes turned to the stars, to the shifting of political powers, to natural disasters and strange wonders. We have created a checklist of external events, assuming the divine would follow a script we wrote for it. But the truth is this: the final sign is not out there. It is within. It manifests in the inner world, the transformation of hearts, the call to higher awareness, and the deep knowing that something has shifted in the unseen. The world as we knew it is dissolving, not in fire, but in consciousness. People are feeling the discomfort of the old systems crumbling. Governments, relationships, values, the structures we trusted are losing shape like mist before the morning sun. And in their place, something ancient and pure is rising. But this awakening does not shout. It hums. It vibrates. It waits patiently for the one who dares to turn inward. Many feel this shift but cannot explain it. It may come as restlessness, as the sudden loss of interest in things that once mattered, or a hunger for silence and stillness. These are not random feelings. They are symptoms of the sign. The soul is being stirred not by fear but by invitation to ascend, to let go, to remember. You see, the final sign does not demand preparation through panic. It asks for alignment. You will not meet it through stockpiles or sermons, but through stillness, reflection, and surrender. It will not recognize status, wealth, or rituals. It only sees vibration. And in this time, vibration is everything. Your thoughts carry weight. Your emotions build frequency. Your choices carve your path. The great divide is not coming. It is already here, not between countries, but between levels of consciousness. Between those who choose truth over comfort, peace over power, surrender over struggle, between those who are rising and those who are resisting. And the sign, this final one, is the last gentle reminder before the shift completes. You will not see it with your eyes unless you first feel it in your spirit. You must listen, not just with ears, but with your being, because the final sign is not proof of what is to come. It is permission to let go, to rise, to become. Heaven is not a location, it is a frequency. It is not a faraway place beyond the clouds, nor a reward waiting at the end of a virtuous life. It is not bound by time, space, or distance. It exists here, now, in this very moment, but only for those who can tune in. Most people have been taught to look up when they think of heaven. Eyes turn skyward as if somewhere above the stars sits a throne, a gate, a garden of perfection. But that is a misunderstanding born from limited perception. The divine does not reside far away. It resonates at a higher level of consciousness. It is not found by traveling outward. It is accessed by going inward. Heaven is a state of being. It is the peace that exists when you are free from inner conflict. It is the joy that does not depend on anything external. It is the love that remains even when others walk away. These are not emotional highs, they are vibrational realities. The more aligned you are with truth, compassion, and awareness, the closer you come to the frequency of heaven. You don't wait to enter it, you become it. Imagine a radio. If you are tuned to the wrong station, you hear only noise. But the station you want is always there, broadcasting continuously. All that is required is a shift of frequency. The same is true for heaven. If you are tuned to fear, anger, greed, or confusion, heaven seems distant, even impossible. But when you shift to gratitude, presence, forgiveness, and humility, you begin to hear it, feel it, know it. This is why two people can live through the same moment, one in agony, the other in peace, because they are living at different frequencies. Their reality is shaped not just by circumstances, but by consciousness. and consciousness is the true gatekeeper to heaven. When ancient texts speak of ascension, they are not describing a physical liftoff into the sky. They are describing an energetic elevation, a rising into purer states of being. This is the true meaning of "the kingdom is within you," not as poetry, but as fact. You are not waiting to be taken somewhere. You are being asked to rise, to clear what is heavy, and to become light enough to resonate with truth. This is why the journey is inward, why silence is more powerful than noise, why letting go brings more clarity than accumulation. You are not trying to get to heaven, you are trying to remember what it feels like. And that remembrance can only happen when you stop searching for a place and start shifting your frequency. Many are awake but not aware. Eyes open, bodies moving, mouths speaking, but the spirit remains dormant. To be awake in the physical sense is merely to exist, but to be aware is to live with presence, depth, and clarity. The difference is subtle, yet everything depends on it. It is the line between wandering and walking with purpose, between reacting and responding, between knowing the world and knowing yourself. We live in a time when many claim to be woke or spiritually awakened. They have read the books, followed the teachers, adopted the language of consciousness. They speak of energy, of meditation, of alignment. But the true test of awareness is not in how much you know, but in how deeply you see. Awareness is not intellect, it is inner vision. It is not merely the light in the mind, but the silence behind the eyes. Awareness does not need to be loud. It does not seek recognition. It moves through life quietly, like the wind through the trees. It watches without judgment, listens without interruption, and acts without attachment. To be truly aware is to be fully here, not halfway present, not trapped in thought, not consumed by identity. It is to meet each moment with openness, to observe your reactions, and to choose a response rooted in stillness. Many people are awake, but only to the surface. They see what is happening around them, but miss what is happening within them. They point fingers at the chaos outside, but never question the noise within. They are aware of problems in the world, but blind to the patterns in their own behavior. They chase truth in others, but avoid honesty with themselves. This is not awareness. This is distraction wrapped in spiritual language. Awareness begins with humility. It requires one to admit, "I do not fully see." From this space, clarity begins. You start to notice the space between thoughts, the subtle shift in energy when you walk into a room, the emotion beneath someone's words. You begin to witness the inner dialogue that usually runs unnoticed, and slowly you no longer identify with every thought or feeling. You become the observer, the one who sees without getting lost in what is seen. This shift changes everything. You no longer react unconsciously. You no longer cling to every opinion. You no longer need to control outcomes. Instead, you respond from presence. You allow space between impulse and action. You create room for wisdom to enter, and this is where real transformation happens, not in the rush of awakening, but in the stillness of sustained awareness. The world needs more than people who are simply awake. It needs those who are aware, who can see without distortion, who can walk without fear, who can stand in silence while the world screams for noise. Because it is awareness, not knowledge, that becomes the light in the darkness. And it is this light that leads us home. The sign was always written within us, not in a book, not in the sky, not on the walls of a temple, but deep within the architecture of our soul. Long before we sought answers outside ourselves, we carried the truth inside. Buried beneath distractions, beneath layers of conditioning, emotion, and thought, the sign waited silently, patient, eternal, calling us not to look up, but to look in. From childhood, we were taught to chase meaning through rituals, doctrines, predictions. We waited for signs to validate our beliefs, to confirm the sacred, to give us permission to awaken. But the greatest illusion has always been this, that we are separate from the divine and that the divine must be found. In truth, what we call signs are not messages sent from a distance. They are awakenings of remembrance, echoes of something we already know, suddenly recognized. When the heart breaks, the mind quiets, or the ego collapses, something powerful happens. The veil thins. In those moments of stillness, we catch glimpses of what has always been there. A deep, wordless knowing that does not shout but resonates. It is not bound by culture or religion. It does not belong to any one path. It is universal, unchanging, a frequency rather than a phrase, a vibration rather than a voice. This inner sign is not easy to read when the mind is loud. When we are consumed by survival, achievement, comparison, or fear, we lose our sensitivity to the inner signal. We forget that our breath carries messages, that our intuition is not imagination but direction, that the ache we feel in moments of silence is not emptiness but a calling. These are not weaknesses, they are signs, invitations to return, to remember, to reconnect. You may not always know how to explain it, but you felt it. The sense that there's something more than the world offers. The subtle discomfort in the middle of your comfort. The longing that no success can satisfy. That is the sign. Not a punishment, but a pointer. Not a warning, but a whisper that says, this is not your home. You were made for something higher. The world may offer symbols, numbers, dreams, and synchronicities, but without the inner eye, we remain blind to their meaning. Without the inner ear, we hear but do not understand. That is why the sign must be read not with the mind, but with the soul. The soul recognizes what the intellect cannot grasp. It remembers without being taught. And in its remembering, it guides us back to truth. You were never without the message. You were only surrounded by noise. The sign was never hidden. It was only quiet. Waiting for the moment you would become still enough to feel it, open enough to receive it, and brave enough to follow it. Detachment is the door to ascension, not through force or denial, but through understanding. To detach does not mean to reject the world, but to release the illusion that you are owned by it. It means to participate without possession, to engage without entanglement, to love without losing yourself. Detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It is the freedom to move through life without being bound by its constant changes. We are conditioned to cling to people, to outcomes, to identities. We hold on tightly to ideas of how things should be, who we think we are, and what we fear losing. This clinging becomes a weight, an invisible chain that keeps the soul anchored to suffering. We grasp at permanence in a world that is always shifting. And in doing so, we resist the very nature of life, impermanence. Ascension does not happen by reaching upward. It happens by letting go of what pulls you downward. The ego clings, the soul releases. Every attachment carries a vibration, fear, desire, control. The more we carry, the heavier we become. But when we begin to release, not through resentment, but through wisdom, we become lighter. We rise, not by trying harder, but by holding less. Detachment is not indifference. It is love without dependency. It is giving fully and accepting the result, whatever it may be. It is walking away without bitterness when the time comes to go. It is choosing peace over possession and truth over comfort. It allows you to experience all of life while remaining rooted in something deeper than life's surface. When you are attached, every change feels like a threat. When things don't go as planned, you suffer. When people leave, you collapse. When failure arrives, your identity crumbles. But when you are detached, change becomes teacher, not tormentor. Loss becomes transformation, not punishment. And endings become beginnings, not breakdowns. This shift in perception is the foundation of ascension. The path of ascension is not a path of accumulation. It is a path of subtraction. What you remove is just as important as what you gain. You are not here to own the world. You are here to know yourself beyond the world. And this knowing begins when you can sit in stillness, watch your attachments rise, and choose not to follow them. Detachment brings you back to presence. It allows you to be fully here without being trapped by here. You begin to witness your emotions without becoming them. You observe thoughts without believing all of them. You hold space for others without losing your own center. In this space, awareness expands, light enters, and the soul begins to rise. True ascension is not found in escaping life, but in transcending the illusions within it. And detachment is the sacred key. Not because it makes you superior, but because it makes you whole. It returns your power. It opens the door. And in walking through it, you remember who you were before the world told you what to hold. The separation has already begun. It is not marked by borders, walls, or visible lines, but by vibration, by frequency, by the quiet choices being made in the stillness of each heart. This is not a separation of people from one another, but of consciousness from illusion. It is the quiet unraveling of what no longer serves truth. A spiritual division unfolding silently and steadily as each soul decides which path it will follow. There is a great shift taking place, though many do not yet see it. It is not happening in the headlines, but in the hidden places, within thoughts, intentions, and subtle awakenings. It is a parting of energy, not driven by fear, but by clarity. Those who choose peace over panic, forgiveness over resentment, presence over distraction, they are moving into a new realm of being. And those who cling to the old, who hold tightly to their fear, anger, and judgment, are remaining in a collapsing system of suffering. The signs are everywhere, but they are not loud. They reveal themselves through contrast. In one room, people argue over truth. In another, someone sits in silence and feels it. In one life, there is endless striving. In another, simplicity and purpose. The separation is not forced. It is chosen. Every moment, every action, every thought is aligning you with one path or the other, not because you are being judged, but because energy cannot lie. You will begin to notice this divide, not by how people speak, but by how they feel. There will be a growing discomfort in the presence of distortion. Shallow conversations will drain you. Environments heavy with ego will feel unbearable. And in contrast, places of quiet, of depth, of sincerity will feel like home. The soul knows when it is in truth. It recognizes its own. And in this recognition, the separation becomes clear. This shift cannot be stopped. It is not subject to politics, systems, or timelines. It is part of the natural movement of consciousness, returning to its source. The world as it has been built is crumbling, not as a punishment, but as a purification. The structures of deceit, division, and domination are being exposed. And each soul is being asked without words, will you rise or will you remain? The separation does not demand force. It requires honesty. It calls for inner alignment. It asks you to look not at what you do, but why you do it. It asks you to be willing to let go of what you've outgrown, even if it once felt like everything. And it reminds you that not everyone will walk with you, not because they are wrong, but because they are not yet ready. In this sacred divide, judgment has no place. Each soul is on its own timeline, and the process is guided not by man, but by truth itself. Some will wake, some will wait, but the current has begun to shift. The invitation has been sent. The separation has already begun. The rapture is a choice, not an event. It is not a moment of mass disappearance, nor a sudden escape from the world's chaos. It is not something you wait for while looking to the sky. The true rapture is quiet, internal, and always available. It is a conscious decision to rise here and now, not through miracles, but through mastery, not by being chosen, but by choosing. We have been told that the rapture will come like lightning, that it will be swift and unmistakable. But spiritual truth often moves in the opposite direction of expectation. The rapture is not an outer spectacle, it is an inner surrender. It happens each time you let go of what no longer serves, each time you silence the noise of the world and listen to the whisper of the soul. It happens when you choose love over fear, peace over reaction, and presence over distraction. It is easy to imagine the rapture as an event, a sudden moment when the worthy vanish and the unprepared are left behind. But this version satisfies the mind, not the spirit. The soul is not waiting for reward or rescue. It is waiting for reunion. The rapture is not about escaping earth, but about transcending the density of it. It is not a departure from life, but a deeper arrival into it, with clearer vision, lighter being, and awakened presence. Every moment presents the opportunity to step into this higher state. But most are too distracted to notice. People want change without transformation, comfort without growth, ascension without detachment. They wait for signs but ignore the invitation. They ask for the light but refuse to leave the shadows. The rapture does not come to those who wait. It comes to those who walk, who choose again and again to rise above their old selves. To be raptured is to no longer be governed by the lower frequencies of fear, shame, blame, and greed. It is to lift your inner world to a place where the outer world cannot pull you down. It is a shift in vibration so complete that your reality begins to change. Not because the world changes, but because your perception does. The same sun shines, but you see it differently. The same noise exists, but you are no longer moved by it. You are in the world, but no longer of it. This is why the rapture is not something that will happen to you, but something that must happen through you. It is a series of choices that accumulate into awakening. The choice to forgive, the choice to let go, the choice to slow down, to listen, to align. Every act of surrender is a step upward. Every moment of stillness is a lift toward light. And every time you choose truth over illusion, you are raptured, drawn up not into the sky, but into your true self. You are either prepared or distracted. There is no more in between, no more time to wander aimlessly in the fog of half-awareness. The days of passive waiting are over. The moment is pressing, the call is clear, and the choice is now. In every breath, in every action, you are aligning with one of two paths, the path of readiness or the path of avoidance. Distraction is no longer harmless. It is not just scrolling through noise or losing hours to things that do not matter. Distraction is spiritual sedation. It keeps you asleep while the world quietly shifts. It numbs the soul and veils the eyes. It gives the illusion of movement while keeping you exactly where you are. You may feel busy, but are you awake? You may feel informed, but are you aligned? You may be surrounded by noise, but do you hear the signal beneath it? Preparation does not mean panic. It does not mean storing supplies or counting days. It means tuning your heart, sharpening your awareness, practicing stillness in a world addicted to motion. It means examining your thoughts, clearing your emotions, and detaching from anything that dims your light. Being prepared is not about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about no longer pretending you don't hear the inner call. The signs have grown louder, not in volume, but in frequency. They now show up in your relationships, in your health, in your dreams. They arrive through discomfort, through unexpected endings, through sudden awakenings. Life is no longer asking you to survive, it's asking you to transform. And if you are distracted, you will miss that sacred invitation. Preparedness is a posture of the soul. It is the willingness to listen when others speak over the truth. It is the courage to release what you once built your life upon. It is the decision to slow down, to feel deeply, and to live deliberately. When the world pulls you outward, preparedness pulls you inward. It anchors you, it cleanses you, it equips you for what cannot be seen with the eyes. The distracted will ask, what's happening out there? The prepared will ask, what's shifting in here? Because the great divide is not about geography, it is about consciousness. It's about who is ready to rise and who is still reaching for comfort. The distractions will grow louder. They will come wrapped in urgency, drama, and novelty. But beneath them all, the still voice remains, calling you to center, calling you to prepare. Every day you are choosing with your focus, with your attention, with your silence or your noise, with your truth or your delay. The choice is simple but profound. Tune in or tune out. You are not being judged. You are being invited, not forced but beckoned. And the door does not open with fear. It opens with readiness. You are either prepared or you are distracted. The moment will not wait for your indecision. The final sign has appeared not as an alarm, but as an awakening. It has spoken not through thunder, but through stillness. Heaven is not somewhere we are taken. It is something we remember by returning to the frequency of truth. Many are awake, but still blind to their own inner world. The sign was never hidden in the sky. It was written into the soul before time began. The shift has started. The separation is already in motion, not driven by judgment, but by vibration. Those who cling to illusion will remain anchored. Those who choose detachment will rise. This rapture is not a dramatic event to be witnessed. It is a sacred choice to be lived. A return, not a rescue. An inner transformation, not an outer escape. You will not be taken by surprise if you are living with intention. Every breath, every act of surrender, every moment of awareness brings you closer to that divine reality. You are either preparing your spirit or losing it in distraction. There is no more time for delay. The call is now. The decision is yours.